Hi there, welcome back to the YouTube channel. I'm back again, and today we're taking a break from Tarkir Dragonstorm again. Tends to be Thursdays I take a break on at the moment, because I had this come through off the base of the general Crete deck that I did a while back, and it was a request from Meme Lied Catting 3049 5 days ago. So I'm recording this on Sunday, so it's what, Wednesday, Thursday last week. I'm working on Fumulus to the Infestation and would like your ideas on it as a mono black insect deck. Well, as I say, I respond to comments, I do read all the comments, and when I get requests like this of a card I haven't covered, I try and get that deck sorted out for someone during the week. So here we go. This is what today's deck is all about. For those of you who don't know, Fumulus the Infestation was one of the Foundations Jumpstart legendary creatures. It's a vampire insect that costs 4 mana, 3 and a black. It has flying and death touch for a 2/2, so okay-ish stats. But whenever a player sacrifices a non-token creature, you get a 1/1 black insect creature token with flying, so that's a start. And whenever an insect, leech, slug or worm you control attacks, defending player loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Now, I know that we were meant to be looking purely at an insect deck, but there just wasn't enough black insects for me to play around with. So, yeah, might have gone off the reservation a little bit by looking at insects, slugs, leeches and worms, but I think the deck works. So here we go. Here's what today's deck really does look like. So at the beginning we have one Planeswalker. Liliana of the Veil had to be here to get target player to sacrifice a creature. You want to target someone who hasn't got any token creatures, obviously, because then you get your insect once Fumulus is in play. But you know, the discarding and then the separating all the permanents of a target player is pretty useful. Now we have got 37 creatures, so I have gone deep on the 4 creature types that Fumulus is really interested in. Starting with the Bilbous Skull Dweller, Death Touch and Toxic. It's just a blocker really, because you know, Toxic's fun and all, but you tend to get hated on if you go for the Poison Wind on MTGO still, because obviously, you know, most play groups I'm aware of nowadays have you get to get 21 poison counters before you die. MTGO, because of how it works, still gets you have to get to 10, and yeah. But if you're playing in paper, you should be fine. Mortician Beetle is in whenever a player sacrifices a creature. This gets bigger, so this is really good fun with this deck, because we are going to be making people sacrifice things. Viscera Seer, just so we can get rid of some of our things and basically scry through our deck. Accursed Marauder enters the battlefield. Each player sacrifices a non-token creature. So this is really good with Fumulus in play, because they have to sacrifice something that isn't a token, which means if you've got 3 players, or if including yourself 4 players, you're going to get 4 insects. Seems like a plan. Balemerc Leech also comes in whenever an enchantment you control enters, or whenever you fully unlock a room, each opponent loses 1 life. But it's a 2/2 Leech, which is why it's here more than anything else, because of the attack ability. Blight Beetle has protection from green, and creatures your opponents control can't have +1/+1 counters put on them, which is going to upset a lot of people who are trying to do the whole clan that's just come back in, whose name is completely escaping me as I'm talking, as it always does. The white, black and green one. Can't remember the name of it, but you know the one I'm talking about. So it's going to upset them if you have this in play. Halo Scarab is in just so we can exile it from our graveyard. At some stage you get a treasure token. Leech Gauntlet, however, is also a piece of equipment. So it gives the equipped creature lifelink. It has lifelink itself, and obviously you can reconfigure it for 4. Nantanku Shade, I completely forgot, was an insect. So yeah, pump all your black mana into this when you can get in and do some real damage. Priest of the Forgotten Gods gives us a way to sacrifice some of our non-token creatures if we need to. For all the target players lose 2 life and sacrifice a creature, and then you get to add black and draw a card. Now this is nice because you can sacrifice 2 of your token insect creatures. Everybody has to sacrifice creatures, and you probably might get the tokens back, so it worked in my head. Swamp Mosquito is old school time spiral. Whenever a Swamp Mosquito attacks and isn't blocked, defending player gets a poison counter. I'm back on that poison thing again. 0/1 flyer for 1 and a black is a bit weak, but you know, mosquitoes are annoying. Virus Beetle means everyone discards a card. Zulaport Cutthroat gives you a way of when your creatures are dying, you get everyone to lose 1 and you gain 1. That's why it's here. Atraxa Skitterfang is also an insect apparently. It comes in with 3 oil counters on it, and at the beginning of combat on your turn you remove an oil counter. When you do, target creature of your choice gains flying, vigilance, death touch or lifelink till the end of turn. Yeah, okay then. 2/2 for 3 that does some things, I'm happy with that. Carrion Locust enters the battlefield, exile target card from an opponent's graveyard. If it's a creature they lose a life. That's flying though, so it gives you a little bit of help. Chain Flail Centipede is another reconfiguring one that when a creature attacks it gets +2/+0. Okay. Circuit Mender is an insect, which I'm going to be 100% honest, I hadn't realised till I searched insects. So, comes in, we gain 2 life, and when it dies or leaves the battlefield, we get a draw card. Then we have ways of making people sacrifice things, so they're all here. We have got this Demon's Disciple, Fleshbag Marauder, Grave Lighter, Merciless Executioner, Playcrafter, they're all in. There's literally, if you're playing a deck where you want people to sacrifice things, these are just the key 4 black cards to go to, so they are here. Spire Mangler makes an appearance, enters the battlefield, target creature with flying you control gets +2/+0 until the end of turn, so you know, you can chuck that on Fumulus if you want to at some stage. Stinging Cave Crawler, has Descend, so as long as there are 4 more cards in your graveyard, you draw a card and lose a life when this attacks, but it has got Death Touch, so it's a really good blocker. Undercity Scrounger, just create a treasure token, activate this if a creature died this turn, so it helps with it on mana. Woe Strider gives us a way to sacrifice creatures off if we need to do that and get the treasures on the go. Bane of the Living is an insect. Again, another card I hadn't realised was an insect until I did start doing some searching. But I like this one. If we can play it face down and then turn it face up and give everything -X till the end of turn, yeah, not the worst plan in the world. Carrion Grub is also in. It gets +X/+0, where X is the greatest power amongst creature cards in our graveyard. And when this enters, we mill 4. Kamba the Plunderer, lifelink, and whenever a creature an opponent dies, you gain a life and get a blood token. I like that one. That seemed quite good to me in here. Necrosqueeto is also in as well. Comes in with 2 oil counters, gets +1/+1 for each oil counter on it. But whenever a creature or an artifact you control is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, you get put another oil counter on it, so you can grow this quite quickly. Rev the Tithe Extractor is also in. When you attack, give this creature Death Touch, that's fine. And whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, create a treasure token, then look at the top card of that player's library and exile it face down, and then you can play it. Yeah, right then, that made sense. Slimy Delic is also in. Beginning of combat on your turn, target creature you control with power 2 or less gets +1/+0 and gains Death Touch. Nice. And the Squelching Leeches have power and toughness equal to the number of swamps we have. Primordial Nora dies, we get to discover 3. It's a 5/2, so it's probably going to die quite quickly, but you know, the discover 3 may help you out. But the 3 cards that we really wanted to try and probably win the game with: Massacre Worm, Wormcoil Engine, and Bringer of the Last Gift. Because if it enters the battlefield, as long as we've cast it, each player sacrifices all other creatures they control. So you're going to get lots of triggers if you've got Fumulus in play. Then each player returns all creature cards from their graveyard that weren't put there this way to the battlefield. So, you know, you've got a way of mass reanimating all of your insects, leeches, slugs and worms if things have gone pear-shaped. In that line, Victimize is in. And then we've got Damnation to control the board. Gix's Command to get an opponent to sacrifice the creature with the highest power amongst creatures they control. We can return 2 to our hand, or destroy creatures with power 2 or less, or just give something a couple of +1/+1 counters and lifelink. It's probably the first one and the last one you're going to do the most, but the other 2 have their uses. To make sure we can get everything back if we need to, I have played Living Death. It seemed like a plan to me. Most of our creatures are quite easily killed, so we're probably going to have a full graveyard at some stage full of creatures, so this one made a lot of sense to me to have in. And then Tegwell's Skirring, 4 and double black, destroy all creatures, and then we get to create 3 1/1 Black Fairy Rogue creature tokens with flying. But we can tap this, we can play this as though it had flash by tapping 3 untapped creatures we control with flying, in addition to paying its other costs. So we can just about do that if we get some insects with Fumulus. A few instants to help us out: Black Sun's Twilight to kill off the biggest creature on the board that's annoying us, and Soul Shatter to make sure that people sacrifice the highest mana value amongst creatures and planeswalkers they control to get you even more insect tokens. Quite a few little bits of artifacts in here. So we've got the usual ramp with Mox Tantalite, Soul Talisman, Expedition Map. Well, you can imagine why it's here when we get to the lands, I'm sure. Soul Ring, Arcane Signet, Charcoal Diamond, Jet Medallion, Mind Stone, sorry. Pyro Heroes is quite nice, gives us a way of sacrificing our creatures off to go and find something else that might be more useful. Thought Vessel for more ramp. Phyrexian Altar, so we can sack our insects off if we need to get more black mana. Wi-Fi Hive, I've been trying to say that for ages. I just like flipping coins occasionally. This is one card you can drop if you don't want it in here, but you know, if you lose the flip, you destroy all the wire flies, but if you don't, you keep doing it and keep getting the little 2/2 flyers, which can be helpful. Because we're in mono black and in a mono deck itself, Throne of Eldraine's here as well. Enchantments, we have a few. The Meat Hook Massacre helps us control the board. Agent of the Iron Throne just does the whole trick with Fumulus in place. So whenever an artifact or creature you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, everybody loses one apart from you. Bastion of Remembrance does it as well, but we gain some off it. Hissing Miasma, whenever creatures attack us, its controller loses a life. And then Blood Reckoning does the same as well. Whenever a creature attacks you or a planeswalker you control, that creature's controller loses one life. So you have a fair bit of protection between these two being in the deck because people aren't keen on attacking you, I will be honest. Lands, well, there's 36. There's nothing you wouldn't expect to see. We are playing mono black, so we have got Cabal Coffers and Cabal Stronghold, which makes sense. I know how expensive Cabal Coffers can be at the moment, so I understand if people don't want to play it, but the Stronghold's reasonable still, so pick them up while you can. Fable Passage just goes and fetches the swamp. We've got the Spymaster's Vault to do the whole conniving trick and then discard extra cards. Put a +1/+1 counter on that creature for each non-land card discarded this way. You don't have to discard them, bear that in mind. Urborg's in just to make sure that the coffers become swamps as well. And then there's 31 swamps to make out our 36 lands because, yeah. I mean, you can play some of the search lands if you want to that go and fetch swamps. That's fine. You can do all that if you want to. I was trying to keep this fairly straightforward for a deck for a change. And yeah, that's it. So I hope you enjoyed this quick trip back to Foundations Jumpstart. Memliled Catting 3049. I hope this meets what you're looking for. I know you asked for a pure insect deck, but I just couldn't make it work. And I think this version is pretty reliable. I will play it on stream at some stage. I don't know when, if you've been keeping up to date. By the time this video goes out on Thursday, well, it's Thursday for me when I wake up, put it that way. We're off to a wedding late Thursday afternoon and we're going to be away for the weekend. But so there's no streams going forward. It'll be a stream replay tomorrow. Don't know which one it'll be yet because it depends how, well, it just depends on things. So there'll be a stream replay tomorrow to watch. But as soon as I get back and as soon as we've had a little bit of fun with Dragonstorm, with Tarkir Dragonstorm, we will give Fumulus a run out on the stream. So, you know, link down below to Twitch. Come and give me a follow there if you want me to see me play this. If this is your first time here, please hit the subscribe button. I've already had 2 more requests to do over the next few weeks. Tivit, which I haven't touched yet at all. And I've also been asked to update my Ganax and Feywild Blue-Red Dragon deck with all the new Dragonstorm, well, Tarkir Dragonstorm cards that are coming out. So I will be looking at that as well. So if there's a deck you want to see, let me know in the comments down below. Or if you want to see, if you found one of my old decks where I've still got the Lotus that's been banned and Dockside Extortionist in there and you want to see an updated version, let me know in the comments. I will try and get around to them, but obviously the main focus at the moment is Tarkir Dragonstorm. But I do have a list. I have a pin board that you can't see that's in front of me, sort of like over there somewhere, where I put the cards up, the decks up that people want to see, and I tick them off when I do it, so I can just add you to the list if you want to see it. But thanks for watching. I hope this made everyone happy, and yeah, I'll be back next week with some more Tarkir Dragonstorm Commanders. So for now, thanks for watching, take care, have a good one, and bye-bye.